Hi guys, I am back with 31 Days of Tarot, day number 3, and the question for today is our top 5 Oracle decks for 2016. And I'm breaking the rules a little bit, but technically I'm not really breaking the rules because I only use 4 decks for my tarot video, so I'm going to use 6 decks for my Oracle video. I definitely have connected more so to Oracle cards, and I definitely find them easier to work with and faster to get acquainted with a deck, in my opinion anyway, so far. Tarot is definitely a big commitment, so it definitely takes longer, I think, to learn tarot. So I have more Oracle decks, and I definitely am more confident with Oracles. So without further ado, let's get started. So these are the decks that I've worked well with in 2016, and they kind of are in more of a particular order compared to the tarot video. I'm going to start with my most favorite, if you want to call it a favorite, or I guess the decks that I've worked with the best this year. And this is how I kind of feel like right now. But in the moment, I would have, some of the decks at the end of the list maybe would have been at the top if it was, that time. But anyways, let's just get into it. So my number one Oracle deck for 2016 is the Messenger cards. And these are by Sandra Coons, and she's on Etsy. Just search and Google the Messenger cards and you should be able to find them. So these are the backs. They are very beautiful. And they're square cards, which it's the only square deck that I have. And you can definitely tell that I've used this deck a lot because it's already starting to chip on the top there. But that's okay. It shows that, I've loved it a lot, so that is good. So this deck came as a surprise to me. I'm not really that interested in animals. I love animals, but I never really was thought that I would be connected to an animal deck. And I don't even know exactly why. I guess maybe it was the art style in some of the other animal-based decks. But the main reason why I got this deck was because of Racine from Alman513. I think I mentioned her already. She was doing an Oracle card workshop on her YouTube channel in May, I believe, of 2016, and she was using this deck. So, and I really respect Racine, and I really wanted to do the workshop, so I decided to get the deck, and I'm so glad that I did because it completely surprised me. Completely. I did some path work in the course with her, and it was just very profound. I never thought that I would be able to meditate like that, and it was pretty amazing. And I definitely, because of that course, it was all based around self-love. So I really think that this deck is a comforting self-love deck for me, because I learned really throughout the workshop to read these cards in regards to self-love. So whenever I need a hug, I always go to this deck. And I was using this deck extensively almost every day for months and months. I haven't used it in a couple months actually now, but this is definitely my top deck, my favorite deck, 100%. And the images are absolutely beautiful too. Absolutely stunning. All right, let's move on. So my next deck is the Shamanic Healing Oracle cards. They're very shiny. This deck also surprised me, but not after I got it. It was more so that I wanted to buy it in the first place. The images are pretty cool. I know it's going to be hard for you guys to see this. There, that's better. The images are pretty cool. I like them. It's not a normal style of artwork that I would normally jive with, I guess. But I think I watched Kelly from The Truth and Story do a walkthrough of this deck, and everything that she said about it, I just had to have it. And I used this deck in my year ahead spread that I did in December for 2017, and I pulled, I have a video on that too, and I'll link that below. I did one tarot card and one Oracle card from this deck for each month. So I did 12 cards, and then the center card for the whole year's energy with another tarot card and another oracle card as well. But yeah, I just absolutely love this deck. I really want to use it more in 2017 and get to know it a little bit better. I think it's really cool because for most of the oracle decks that I have, they're a lot bigger, but this one is smaller. Like, it fits in your hand a lot, like a lot nicer. It's almost tarot size. It's a lot wider, but like if you compare it to, let me see here. If you compare it to like a Hay House Oracle card, it's pretty small. Well, not pretty small, but just slightly smaller. So yes, this is the Shamanic Healing Oracle. And the next deck that I have is the amazing Halloween Oracle. And I absolutely love this. And this kind of surprised me too, but I absolutely adored the artwork. And I think I got it in June or so last year. And I just wanted it so bad because the artwork is so stunning. I trimmed it, and this is the only deck and the first deck that I've ever trimmed. And I'm so happy with how it turned out. When you're really up close to it, you can kind of see some imperfections, but honestly, I'd rather have it this way. It's so beautiful. I wouldn't say that I use this too much. I would say that I dedicated a significant amount of time to it in September and October for sure. And yeah, when I was using it I think it was in the middle of October, and I'm like, I really need to trim this deck because it was getting hard to shuffle. I feel like this is a Blue Angel deck, and Blue Angel cards are fairly big usually, so yeah. I love how it turned out. The images are stunning. The readings that I have done with it have come out pretty good. I use this deck a lot to practice and do some Instagram daily draws. I need to get back into that again because it really helped me practice. But yeah, it's gorgeous. Any time of the year, really. I think it works well. I did use it before September, October, but definitely, stuck with this deck a lot throughout those 2 months. So yeah, that is the Halloween Oracle. And the next deck that I have is the Enchanted Map. Oops. It's the Enchanted Map Oracle by Colette Baron Reed. And this is one of the first decks that I ever got. I think I ordered 4 decks at once when I ordered my first little bunch of decks. And I really liked this one, but it wasn't like, of the bunch of 4, it wasn't like the one I was like the most excited for. But when I got it and I went through it, I just felt like I really needed to focus on it a lot more than the others. So I ended up using this deck for a while near the beginning exclusively, because for some reason I thought that I could only use 1 deck. Even though I bought 4, I thought that I needed to learn 1 before moving on to the next. And now I realize that I can, when it comes to oracle cards, I can definitely use, or I can use more than 1 deck and learn with more than 1 deck and not get confused, you know what I mean? They all have different voices, so yeah. So this deck is really awesome. And the other deck that I got with that 4, is the Wisdom of the Oracle, also by Colette Baron Reed. And this is the one that I was most excited for because I find the images in this deck to be a little bit more appealing in my opinion. And I was really excited for it, but for some reason I just felt like I needed to use the Enchanted Map before I got into this one. So this deck I'm including it in here just because it was one of the firsts for me, and it kind of started me off on the little journey that I'm on, so I wanted to include it, but I definitely haven't used it very much, so I want to use this one a lot more in 2017 as well, because the images are gorgeous and it has some really cool keywords and meanings. So yeah, so that is the Wisdom of the Oracle. Now I would say that this deck is the extra, the 6th deck. I just put the 2 Colette Baird Reed decks together just because it makes more sense that way. Now, this deck that I'm going to show you is this is the deck that got me on my journey, and it is one of the decks that I have never really used. And I don't want to use, I didn't get it to use it, I got it to have it. It is the Sacred Geometry Oracle, and the reason why I got it is, and I think I've said this before on one of my videos, it has, they use this deck on the show Ghost Whisperer, and I still am obsessed with that show. I love that show. It's one of my favorite shows of all time, and they use this deck, and for some reason I thought it was a tarot deck, and I'm like, oh my god, I've never seen a tarot deck that looks like that. And I looked and looked and looked, I'm like, which deck did they use on this episode, you know? And I finally found it after a lot of searching, and I realized that it wasn't even a tarot deck, and that's how I got introduced to Oracle decks. So I had to have this one. I need to find the card that made me want to get the deck. And it has a lot of geometry images, obviously, which is kind of a reason why I put it off, because it's definitely harder to read with. It's definitely going to take some study. Again, another deck that I would like to use more in 2017, but to be honest with you, I'm not sure if I'm like, look at that. That is stunning. I'm not sure if I'm going to, because there's so many other decks that I kind of want to work with more. So this was the card that they did a whole spread on Ghost Whisperer on the show, but this was one of the cards, and a big theme in that show is crossing over into the light, so I needed to have this card. So yeah. So that is my top 6 Oracle decks of 2016. I have a lot of other, not a lot, but I have a few other decks that I got in 2016 that I really intended to work with, but I didn't have the time, or I didn't dedicate the time. So, and there's a video in the challenge, I can't remember what day it is, talking about decks for 2016, that you want to work with in 2017. So I will definitely be talking about all those other decks as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys all tomorrow.